creates a psychological paradox that has left even the most brilliant minds puzzled. He's successful, stoic, and highly intelligent, a man who is usually in control. Yet, when he encounters her, his composure begins to crack. He is mesmerized by her warmth, but terrified by her depth. She is the INFJ woman. She doesn't seek his validation through social performance. She doesn't need him to define her identity, and she possesses an intuitive X-ray vision that sees right through his defenses. Why does this mystic counselor of the personality world create such a storm in the hearts of intelligent men? Let's decode the enigma. The concept of the INFJ woman as an unsolvable intuitive puzzle is the primary psychological hook that leaves intelligent men both captivated and deeply unsettled. To a high-achieving, intellectual man, the world is a series of systems to be decoded and problems to be solved. He is accustomed to people being relatively transparent, especially in an era of digital oversharing, where most individuals hand over the map to their psyche within. The first few hours of meeting, the INFJ woman, however, operates on a completely different frequency of strategic mystery. This isn't a manipulative game or a calculated affectation. It is the natural byproduct of her dominant, introverted intuition. She possesses a curated depth that suggests there are layers to her soul that may never be fully accessible, even to those she loves. When an intelligent man encounters this, his natural problem-solving instincts are triggered. He is mesmerized because she represents a grandmaster-level challenge that he cannot simply think his way through. He observes her ability to be simultaneously empathetic, yet guarded, and warm yet distant, and he realizes there is a vault inside her, a private core of values, visions, and experiences that remains untouched by his influence. This creates a fascinating tension. He is impressed by her intellectual reach and her refusal to seek validation through emotional dumping, yet he is terrified because her intuitive nature means he cannot predict her or control the narrative. He is used to being the smartest person in the room, but with the INFJ woman, he feels like a novice trying to read a language with no Rosetta Stone. This mystery creates a vacuum that he feels compelled to fill with his own efforts and genuine curiosity. By remaining an intuitive puzzle, she ensures that his respect for her remains evergreen. The second reason intelligent men are both terrified and mesmerized by the INFJ woman is that she has mastered the art of silence as a power move in a hyper-connected society that suffers from verbal diarrhea. Most people use words to mask their insecurities, fill uncomfortable voids, or desperately signal their status. The intelligent man is accustomed to women, and people in general, trying to impress him with their stories, achievements, or opinions. However, the INFJ woman uses silence as a sophisticated filter and a psychological mirror. When she sits in silence, she isn't being shy or passive. She is actively observing, analyzing, and holding her ground. This creates a massive power imbalance that leaves the intelligent man feeling exposed. To him, her silence feels like a vacuum that he feels an instinctive, almost frantic need to fill. This silence is terrifying to an intellectual man because he cannot read her reaction. He might share a brilliant thought or a personal success, expecting a specific emotional payoff, only to be met with a calm, attentive yet unreadable gaze. This lack of immediate feedback forces him to second-guess himself. He wonders if he said too much, if he sounded arrogant, or if he simply isn't as interesting as he thought. In this way, the INFJ woman's silence acts as a mirror that reflects his own insecurities back at him. He is mesmerized because her ability to be comfortable in the noise of the unspoken suggests a level of internal strength and self-assurance that he rarely encounters. She doesn't feel the need to defend her position or explain her presence. For the INFJ, silence is her primary tool for gathering data while remaining an enigma herself. She knows that the person who speaks the least often holds the most power in the room, as they are the ones with the most information and the fewest leaks. The third reason an intelligent man is both terrified and mesmerized by the INFJ woman is her radical emotional autonomy. In a world where most relationships are built on a foundation of mutual dependency and emotional outsourcing, the INFJ woman stands as a self-contained fortress. Emotional autonomy means her internal weather is not dictated by the actions, moods, or validations of those around her. While an intelligent man is often accustomed to being the provider of stability, protection, or emotional direction, he quickly realizes that the INFJ woman has already provided these things for herself through years of deep introspection and shadow work. This creates a psychological shock for him. He is used to seeing people react to his presence, his successes, or his approval, but the INFJ woman remains unswayed. Her happiness is a deliberate, internal choice, not a reaction to his latest compliment or a byproduct of his attention. This trait is mesmerizing because it presents a woman who is genuinely free. She doesn't need him to feel whole, which makes her choice to spend time with him feel incredibly heavy and significant. He knows that she is with him purely because she wants to be, not because she is seeking an escape from loneliness. However, this same autonomy is deeply terrifying to him. It strips him of his traditional emotional leverage. He cannot punish her with silence because she enjoys her own company. He cannot manipulate her through jealousy because she doesn't compare herself to others. He realizes that he has no control over her internal state, and for a man who is used to being in the driver's seat of his life, this loss of control is humbling. The INFJ woman's emotional autonomy allows her to face conflict with a cold, analytical clarity that most find intimidating. She processes her emotions privately, presenting only a composed exterior to the world. This makes the intelligent man realize that he is not her anchor. The fourth reason an intelligent man is both terrified and mesmerized by the INFJ woman is her uncanny ability to see through the alpha mask. Most high-status, intelligent men have spent years perfecting a curated persona of strength, competence, and stoicism. This mask is a suit of psychological armor designed to command respect and protect their vulnerabilities. While most people interact only with this polished facade, the INFJ woman looks directly past it. Her dominant intuition and high emotional intelligence act as a psychological X-ray, allowing her to detect the subtle cracks in his armor. She notices the slight hesitation in his voice when he is insecure, the performative nature of his confidence, and the hidden need for approval that he tries so hard to bury. This ability is profoundly mesmerizing to an intelligent man because it is rare to be truly seen. There is a deep, primal relief in being understood without having to explain oneself, and the INFJ woman provides this by simply being in the room. He finds himself drawn to her because he doesn't have to perform the alpha role as intensely. She already knows who he is. However, this is also where the terror sets in. To a man who has built his identity on being perceived as powerful, and having a woman see his raw, unpolished self is a massive vulnerability. He realizes that his usual tricks, the intellectual dominance or assertive body language, don't have the intended effect on her. She isn't intimidated by the mask because she isn't looking at it. She is looking at the man behind it. For the INFJ, this insight is a tool for truth. She values authenticity over performance. This creates a high-stakes environment where he knows that if he lies or tries to manipulate her, she will see it instantly. He is forced to be genuine, which is a terrifying prospect for someone who has relied on a persona for protection. The fifth reason an intelligent man finds himself both terrified and mesmerized by the INFJ woman is the reality that she is her own intellectual and creative provider. In the traditional evolutionary and social narrative, the high-achieving man derives a significant portion of his identity and value from his role as the primary source of knowledge, security, or direction. He is accustomed to offering his expertise as his primary currency in a relationship. However, the INFJ woman has completely disrupted this dynamic. She is often a deep diver into niche subjects, a master of complex creative systems, and a strategist of her own life. Whether she is building a digital empire, navigating the complexities of psychology, or mastering a high-level technical skill. She has already built the internal and external world most people are still waiting for someone else to provide. This creates a profound psychological crisis for the intelligent man when he realizes that he cannot buy her time with his professional status or impress her solely with his intellectual resume. He is forced to confront a terrifying question. What do I actually bring to the table if she already owns the table? He is mesmerized by her competence because it is a reflection of his own drive. He recognizes a fellow visionary in her. He admires her ability to fix her own problems and fund her own dreams without a hint of desperation. It is the ultimate display of high-value behavior. Yet, this same independence is terrifying because it makes him redundant in the traditional sense. He cannot use his resources as a leash to keep her around. For the INFJ woman, being her own provider isn't just about logic, it's about sovereignty. She doesn't need a man to be her plan, which means, if she chooses to be with him, it is based purely on character and soul alignment. To an intelligent man, this is the highest form of flattery, to be wanted for who he is rather than what he has. The sixth reason an intelligent man is both mesmerized and deeply unsettled by the INFJ woman is her refined silent exit capability, often known as the INFJ door slam. In the traditional dating and social landscape, most endings are telegraphed. There are warnings, heated arguments, and a slow, noisy decay of the relationship. This gives a man a sense of control. He knows where he stands and believes he can negotiate, manipulate, or fix the situation before it's too late. The INFJ woman, however, operates with a lethal level of emotional decisiveness. She doesn't use the threat of leaving as a weapon or a cry for attention. Instead, she observes in silence, and once she identifies that a man or a situation no longer aligns with her values, peace, or growth, she simply ceases to exist in his world. She moves like a ghost, leaving no room for closure-seeking conversations or dramatic reconciliations. This capability is terrifying to an intelligent man because it is absolute. He realizes that he is dealing with a woman who has mastered her own attachments. He knows that if he slips into disrespect, inconsistency, or mediocrity, he won't be met with a long paragraph of complaints. He will simply wake up to find her energy has been withdrawn and her access has been permanently revoked. This Irish goodbye applied to the soul makes the intelligent man realize that he is on a permanent probation of character. He cannot rely on her feelings to keep her trapped because her intuition and logic are the final arbiters. The fear of this sudden, silent void is what keeps him on his toes. He understands that her presence is a privilege that can be cancelled without notice, yet he is mesmerized by this trait because it reflects an incredible amount of self-respect. While others might stay and fight for a toxic connection out of fear, the INFJ woman's door slam proves she values her peace more than any person's company. The seventh reason an intelligent man is both terrified and mesmerized by the INFJ woman is her absolute refusal to follow the social script. From a young age, most individuals are programmed with a social playbook, a set of predictable milestones regarding how to date, how to communicate, and how to perform gender roles. Intelligent men in particular are masters of navigating these scripts. They know exactly which buttons to push to get a specific reaction. They are accustomed to the standard dance of courtship, the expected timelines for commitment, and the typical social games people play to gain leverage. The INFJ woman, however, has effectively set the playbook on fire. She does not operate based on shoulds or societal expectations. She might go weeks without wanting to socialize, or she might skip the small talk entirely to discuss existentialism or the ethical implications of future technology on a first encounter. She is fundamentally unpredictable because her actions are governed by internal values rather than external pressure. This lack of a script is mesmerizing to an intelligent man. Because it represents a rare form of authenticity, he finds himself in uncharted territory where his usual moves don't work. He cannot pigeonhole her into a category. She isn't the damsel or the social climber. She is a category of one. This unpredictability keeps his mind in a state of constant engagement, as he has to actually pay attention to who she is, rather than who he expects her to be. However, this same quality is terrifying because it disrupts his sense of order. Intelligent men often rely on their ability to forecast the future and plan their next moves. With an INFJ woman, the future is a blank slate. The eighth reason an intelligent man is both terrified and mesmerized by the INFJ woman is their high intellectual and soul compatibility. For a high-achieving, intellectual man, finding a partner is often easy. But finding an intellectual peer who can navigate the abstract depths of the human experience is remarkably rare. He is accustomed to being the educator or the dominant mind in a relationship, the one who explains the complexities of the world, technology, or logic. When he encounters an INFJ woman, this dynamic is immediately leveled. She doesn't just understand his world, she often possesses a deeper, more intuitive grasp of its underlying patterns. Whether the topic is the ethical implications of artificial intelligence, the nuances of geopolitical shifts, or the psychological depths of literature, she can go toe-to-toe with him with a composed, analytical grace. This compatibility is mesmerizing because it provides him with something he has likely lacked for a long time, a true challenge. To an intelligent man, a woman who can intellectually and spiritually stimulate him is more intoxicating than any physical attribute. He finds himself in a state of constant mental flow around her, where every conversation is a high-stakes exchange of ideas. He respects her mind because she doesn't rely on cliches. She has done the shadow work to form her own sovereign conclusions. However, this is also where the terror sets in. He realizes that he cannot outthink her or use his intellect as a shield. In most relationships, his intelligence is a weapon of dominance. With her, it is a bridge, and that vulnerability is frightening. He is terrified because she doesn't use her mind to compete with him. She uses it to evaluate his integrity. She can see the logical fallacies in his arguments and the gaps in his self-awareness. Because she is an INFJ, she doesn't feel the need to win the debate, which makes her even more formidable. The ninth reason an intelligent man is both terrified and mesmerized by the INFJ woman is her role as the ultimate mirror. Unlike many who use social interactions to flatter, deflect, or perform, the INFJ woman possesses a rare, unfiltered clarity born from her deep intuitive nature because she lacks the people-pleasing gene in its superficial form and exists outside the traditional social hierarchy. She doesn't distort the truth to make others feel comfortable. When an intelligent man stands before her, he isn't just looking at a woman. He is looking at a reflection of his own true character, stripped of his professional titles, his wealth, and his carefully constructed public persona. The INFJ woman's calm, observant nature acts as a psychological surface that reflects a man's strengths and, more terrifyingly, his deepest insecurities back at him. This mirroring effect is mesmerizing because it offers the intelligent man something he rarely finds in a world of yes-men and superficial admirers: absolute truth. If he is a man of genuine substance, her presence amplifies his light. He feels seen and understood on a level that is almost spiritual. He is drawn to her because she doesn't feed his ego, she feeds his soul by acknowledging his authentic self. However, if he is hiding behind a mask of arrogance or unearned confidence, the INFJ mirror becomes a source of immense terror. She doesn't have to say a word to point out his flaws. Her lack of reaction to his tricks makes his own internal gaps feel glaringly obvious. He realizes that he cannot hide his inconsistencies from her, as she reflects his behavior with a cold, analytical precision. For the INFJ woman, being a mirror isn't a deliberate act of judgment. It is a byproduct of her emotional autonomy and intellectual curiosity. She is simply present and authentic, and that authenticity demands the same from everyone else. The 10th reason an intelligent man is both terrified and mesmerized by the INFJ woman is the reality that her presence is selective. In a world where most people are driven by a desperate need for inclusion, social climbing, or the fear of being alone, the INFJ woman stands apart because she genuinely does not need to be anywhere she doesn't want to be. Her time is her most sacred currency, and she spends it with the precision of a master jeweler. While an intelligent man is accustomed to using his status, wealth, or charm to gain access to people's time, he quickly realizes that these traditional keys do not work on her. Her presence cannot be bought, coerced, or negotiated. It is a gift that she grants only to those who meet her high standards of intellectual and energetic alignment. This selectivity is mesmerizing to an intelligent man because it makes every moment he spends with her feel incredibly high-stake and earned. He knows that if she is sitting across from him, it isn't because she had nothing else to do or because she is looking for a social boost. It is because she has analyzed his character and decided that he is a worthy investment of her limited social battery. This provides him with a level of validation that no yes man or social climber could ever offer. However, this same trait is deeply terrifying. It places him in a position of constant vulnerability. He realizes that he is not her anchor, he is a guest in her life. The INFJ woman's presence is selective because she is fundamentally self-sufficient in her solitude. She enjoys her own company so deeply that the cost of leaving her inner sanctuary is high to an intelligent man. This means he can never truly relax into mediocrity. He knows that the moment he becomes dull, disrespectful, or stagnant, she will simply withdraw. The 11th reason an intelligent man is both terrified and mesmerized by the INFJ woman is her absolute absence of clout chasing. In an era where social capital is often treated as more valuable than real capital, and people are obsessed with who knows whom, the INFJ woman stands as a baffling anomaly. Most high-achieving, intelligent men are accustomed to their status, their job title, their net worth, or their influential network, acting as a primary magnet for attention. They are used to people laughing at their jokes, agreeing with their opinions, and seeking their favor simply because of the clout they represent. The INFJ woman, however, is fundamentally unimpressed by these external markers. To her, a CEO and a creative freelancer are on the same level until they prove their internal character. She doesn't care about his blue check mark or his connections because she doesn't seek to use him as a ladder for her own social advancement. This indifference is mesmerizing because it offers the intelligent man a rare, authentic connection. He finally feels seen for the human being he is, rather than the resource he represents. He finds it refreshing to be with someone who won't name-drop his achievements to her friends or use his status to validate her own identity. However, this lack of clout chasing is also deeply terrifying. It strips him of his most powerful social weapon, his influence. He realizes that if he doesn't have a solid personality, a sharp mind, and a kind heart, his status will not save him from her boredom. He cannot buy her respect with his resume. For a man who has spent his life building a castle of status to protect himself, realizing that the INFJ woman sees the castle as irrelevant is a massive ego shock. For the INFJ, this habit is a byproduct of her self-sufficiency, since she builds her own inner world and provides for her own emotional needs. She has no need to leech off someone else's success. The 12th and final reason an intelligent man is both terrified and mesmerized by the INFJ woman is that she is the undisputed architect of her own peace. In a chaotic world where most people's internal state is a frantic reflection of their external environment, the INFJ woman has built an invisible, unbreachable fortress around her psyche. She does not wait for the world to be quiet to find stillness. She creates it through rigorous boundaries, emotional discipline, and a lifestyle designed for tranquility. While an intelligent man is often a fixer or a leader who is used to being the source of stability for others, he quickly realizes that the INFJ woman's peace is entirely self-generated. She has done the shadow work and the internal house cleaning necessary to ensure that her mind is a sanctuary, not a battleground. This is mesmerizing because she radiates a level of calm that is almost supernatural. In her presence, the noise of modern life seems to fade. An intelligent man, who often deals with high-stakes stress and intellectual burnout, finds her energy intoxicating. She is the only person who doesn't demand his energy, but instead provides a space where it can be recalibrated. However, this is also the most terrifying aspect of her character, because she is the architect of her own peace. She is ruthless in protecting it. If a man brings drama, inconsistency, or emotional turbulence into her world, she will remove him with the surgical precision of someone protecting their very life. He realizes that he is not the center of her universe. Her peace is. He is terrified because he knows he is on a permanent probation if his presence becomes a net negative to her mental well-being. He will be evicted from her life without a second thought. For a man who wants to be needed, realizing that he is only wanted as long as he respects her tranquility is a massive paradigm shift. As we reach the final moments of this deep dive, the call to action isn't a mere request for engagement. It is an invitation to join an elite frequency of self-awareness. If you are an INFJ woman who has spent her life feeling like a misfit because you preferred the depth of the shadows over the noise of shallow circles, know that you aren't broken. You are a rare archetype of strength. If these points resonated with your soul, then this is your tribe. We invite you to step out of the quiet and into a community that values intuition, mystery, and radical independence. Tap the like button if you believe that a woman's true power is found in her internal clarity and her self-sufficiency. It tells the algorithm that the world is ready for substance over noise and for connections built on choice rather than dependency. Drop a sovereign in the comments below if you are currently building your own internal empire in silence, or share which of these 12 reasons hit closest to home. Every comment is a brick in the fortress of understanding we are building together. Finally, if you want to continue this journey of self-mastery and psychological decoding, make sure you are subscribed with notifications turned on. This is more than a channel. It is a digital sanctuary for the new generation of high-frequency minds. Don't let the noise of the world drown out your inner frequency. Stay for the next evolution of this series, where we will continue to strip back the layers of Cabaron, archetypes, and human behavior to reveal the truth beneath the mask. Until then, remember that your greatest asset is your privacy, and your greatest power is your peace. Take these lessons, integrate them into your character, and move through the world with the quiet authority of someone who knows exactly who they are. Stay refined, stay insightful, stay INFJ. The conclusion of this psychological exploration serves as a final, sophisticated bridge between the enigmatic world of the INFJ woman and the intelligent man who finds himself orbiting her gravity. To truly understand why he remains in a state of perpetual mesmerization and terror, one must recognize that the INFJ woman represents the one thing an intellectual man cannot conquer: a self-determined reality. The terror he feels isn't rooted in a fear of physical harm, but in the existential dread of being irrelevant to a woman who has already mastered the art of being whole. He looks at her and sees a mirror that reflects his own reliance on social validation and external titles, and that realization is a cold, sobering wake-up call. Yet, the mesmerization persists because she is the only person who can meet him on his own level, challenging his mind through her dominant intuition without ever competing for his crown or his ego. She doesn't want to lead him, and she refuses to follow him. She simply exists alongside him, and that level of sovereign companionship is the rarest treasure in the modern social landscape. The INFJ woman isn't just a personality type. She is a high-frequency power move. She is the proof that you don't need to be the loudest voice in the room to be the most influential presence. Her strength lies in her certainty, her unshakable knowledge of who she is when no one is watching. For the intelligent man, she is the final frontier, a woman who cannot be bought by status or owned by affection. She is a choice, not a necessity. This shift from a relationship of need to a relationship of mutual selection is the most elevated form of human connection